Hello, my name is John Bannon. I'm an attorney and philosopher. In today's video, I'm going to discuss how Hanssonian superdeterminism supports metaphysics. You may hear some physicists complain that metaphysics is obsolete and all we need is science. However, that's not true, and I'll explain why. Hanssonian superdeterminism is based on a proof by Swedish theoretical physicist Dr. Johan Hansen. His proof was published in the peer-reviewed physics journal Physics Essays, and you can find it at volume 33, number 2, June of 2020, pages 216 to 218. So Dr. Hansen proved that we live in a fourth dimensional static block universe, which consists of three dimensions of space and one hidden static dimension of time. And the only thing in the universe besides nothing is particles. But you can't change these particles, move these particles. They're set in place like pebbles in concrete, and they're permanent. And this is because Dr. Hansen disproved cause and effect in physics, and this is a consequence of that disproof. But the particles in the universe do create patterns over the static dimension of time, which we describe through our logical mathematical laws of physics. However, one could argue that our block universe is eternal and simply a brute fact, such as through the all at once superdeterministic interpretation. And the all at once interpretation originates with the ancient Greek philosopher Parmenides. So this idea has been around for millennia. Um, in that case, with a block universe that's eternal, then there would be no objective eternal truths to discover that are not an aspect of the block universe itself. And because science is the study of the physical universe, then you wouldn't need anything beyond science to investigate the block universe. However, Hanssonian superdeterminism allows for the atemporal creation of our block universe in making no claim that the universe is eternal. So, unlike um, Parmenides, Swedish physicist Dr. Johan Hansen does not make any claim about whether the universe is eternal or not. If you look at his proof, you won't see anything that mentions whether the universe is eternal or not. Consequently, Hanssonian superdeterminism leaves open the idea that the block universe was atemporally created, meaning created outside of space time. Parmenides would argue that you cannot atemporally create the universe from nothing because of ex nihilo nihil fit, or in other words, something cannot come from nothing. But science evidences transcendent logic, which implies an atemporal creation of the block universe. So there have been recent scientific experiments that show the existence of logic that transcends physical reality itself. For example, there was a recent scientific experiment which showed that virtual particles played an actual role in particle collisions. But virtual particles are mathematical constructs. So this implies that some sort of transcendent mathematical construct or logic is involved in the outcome of particle collisions. So it's evidencing a transcendent logical blueprint for what occurs in physical reality, in the physical universe. And if there's a transcendent blueprint for the universe, then the universe must have been created. Because why else would you need a blueprint? But because the universe doesn't have moving time in it or cause and effect in physics, then the creation of the universe would have to be atemporal or outside of space time. Another example from science of transcendent logic is quantum teleportation. You can take three photons, A, B, and C, entangle B and C, and then take photons A and B and give them to Alice, some scientist, and then give photon C to another scientist, Bob. Well, Alice performs a measurement on A, which destroys the quantum state of A because it's being measured. But because the measurement of A is with an interaction with photon B, which is entangled with C, suddenly C gets the quantum state of A. So this is the idea of the quantum state of A teleporting to photon C. So Bob discovers that photon C now has the exact quantum state of A, even though photon C did not have that quantum state prior to the interaction between A and B by observer Alice. So the only way this quantum teleportation works is through a transcendent logical explanation of quantum teleportation. It's not because of anything that actually happens in the vicinity of photon C. So that quantum teleportation also evidences transcendent logic in physics. So transcendent logic has the same appearance as nothing. One's transcendent, which means you can't even see it, and it has the same appearance as nothing. So, transcendent logic can define a definite state of physical reality, as exemplified by the transcendent logic of virtual particles and of quantum teleportation, which can define a particular state of physical reality, even though these are transcendent mathematical constructs. So it is entirely conceivable that such transcendent logic can be responsible for the atemporal creation of the physical universe, whereas nothing has no power to create. So Parmenides failed to consider creation from metaphysical transcendent logic as opposed to just nothingness. So, whereas Parmenides says you can't get something from nothing, or ex nihilo nihil fit, that's true. But Parmenides did not consider getting something from transcendent metaphysical logic, which looks exactly the same as nothing, but has the power to define a logical state by creating physical reality. So, because there is scientific evidence of atemporal creation from transcendent logic, then there is a basis for metaphysics under Hanssonian superdeterminism. Consequently, all those physicists complaining about armchair philosophers ought to wake up to Hanssonian superdeterminism and realize that metaphysics definitely plays a role in the atemporal creation of our block universe, and therefore requires more than just scientific study because it's transcendent. All right, well, hope you learned something, and I'll give you a second to read the board. All right, until next time, take care.